Have you ever truly stopped long enough to feel it, not just in fleeting moments, but in the quiet depths of your being? That silent, suffocating tension that has been living inside you for so long, it's become the background hum of your existence. It's the sensation of holding your breath not just for a few seconds, but for years. A subtle, constant bracing within your soul, as if you've been waiting on some cosmic green light, some long overdue breakthrough that will finally give you permission to exhale. And maybe you've convinced yourself that relief will come then, when the job arrives, when the love finally appears, when your bank account reaches that magic number, when your reflection finally matches the ideal you've carried in your mind. Then you'll allow yourself peace. Then you'll finally breathe fully. But deep down, beneath all the milestones and goals, there's an achier knowing that no amount of striving, no perfectly executed plan, no exhausting checklist has yet delivered that sacred arrival. And isn't that the part that haunts you? That after all the doing, after all the pushing, life still feels like a clenched fist that won't open. If this stirs something ancient within you, if your soul aches at the truth of these words, then this message is not coincidence, it is a divine summons. A whispered reminder that your spirit is ready, aching to remember a higher way. If you feel that resonance deep, unshakable pause, breathe and declare it in the comments. I am ready to flow. Let that be your signal to the universe that you are done waiting, done bracing, done carrying the unbearable weight of force. This is your moment to exhale. Here's the truth. No one told you the devastating, liberating, earth-shattering truth. Life is not withholding from you. The universe is not some cruel gatekeeper, hiding your blessings behind tests, trials, and timelines you must conquer through exhaustion. You are the one withholding from yourself. With every condition you've placed on your peace, when I succeed, when I'm loved, when I'm perfect, you have unknowingly built a wall between yourself and the river of abundance that is already flowing toward you. Imagine that. There is an ocean of love, clarity, ease, and joy rushing to meet you in every moment. But you, beautiful soul, have constructed dams made of not yet, not enough, not worthy. Every fearful thought, every clenched moment of control, every demand for life to follow your blueprint adds another stone to that wall. And so, you wait, you thirst, you ache, all while the current, the divine flow of source, of grace, of everything your soul has ever longed for presses lovingly against your resistance, just waiting for you to open the floodgates. But here's what's even more beautiful. The moment you let go, even just a little, that current doesn't trickle, in it rushes. The dam doesn't crumble politely, it dissolves into a glorious flood of alignment and synchronicity and peace. The universe was never keeping score, it was only waiting for your permission to flow. Letting go is not what you were taught to believe it is. It is not surrender in the way society defines it, not a limp resignation or passive defeat. It is, in truth, the most radical, courageous, soul-powered act of faith you will ever make. It is looking into the eyes of your tightly gripped desires, your meticulously constructed life plans, and saying, I trust you will come to me in the way that is meant for me, even if it looks nothing like what I expected. It is choosing to believe that the intelligence that spins galaxies, that orchestrates seasons, that keeps your heart beating without your consent, that same intelligence is capable of arranging your life far better than your mind ever could. True surrender is alignment. It is remembering that you are not here to build a life through force, but to allow the life that is already coded within your soul's blueprint to unfold. It is an act of remembering that your energy, your frequency, not your strugglies, what shapes your reality. And from this place of surrendered power, everything changes. Suddenly, the right people show up. The right opportunities find you not because you chased them, but because you finally became magnetic to them. Your energy becomes an open invitation, a gravitational field of effortless attraction. You stop chasing and you start receiving. This is not magic, it's alignment. And alignment is your birthright. So now, beloved soul, the invitation is here before you. The path of force or the path of flow. One will leave you perpetually, breathless, endlessly striving, chronically disconnected from your own peace. The other will feel like the long-awaited exhale your spirit has been begging for. And all it requires is a choice to release the white-knuckled grip of how it must happen, a choice to surrender the when, a choice to trust that the same energy that created you is capable of sustaining you and more. If you feel that truth humming through your bones, then breathe deeply right now. feel your shoulders soften. Feel your chest rise freely and say aloud, not just with your voice, but with your energy, I choose flow. I trust the current. I surrender control. Then write it in the comments as your commitment to your higher self. I choose flow. This is not an end, it's a beginning. The beginning of your true unfolding. The beginning of living as you are always meant to, not as the warrior always at war, but as the soul who finally blessedly remembers that they were born to dance with life, not fight it. Consider this metaphor. When you are trying to force a key into a lock it was not designed for, you can exert all your strength. You can push, you can shove, you can jiggle and twist until your hands are raw and your spirit is depleted with frustration. You can become utterly exhausted, convinced that the door is broken or that you are not strong enough, but the door will remain stubbornly, resolutely shut. The very presence of that intense struggle is a divine sign, a clear indicator of misalignment. However, when you possess the correct key, it slides into the lock with an almost magical ease. It turns with a gentle, satisfying click, and the door swings open effortlessly, revealing the path that was waiting for you. The door opened not because you forced it with brute strength, but because you found the perfect resonant alignment. Letting go is not about dropping your keys and walking away from the door of your dreams in defeat. It is about ceasing the frantic, desperate shoving. It is about taking a deep, centering breath, quieting the mind, and allowing your divine guidance to illuminate the truth that the correct key has been in your possession all along. It is a powerful release of pressure, a sacred declaration of trust that says to the universe, I have unwavering faith that the right doors will open for me in the perfect way, and at the most divinely appointed time. I no longer need to break them down. We are born into a world that has made a religion out of the hustle. From the moment we are old enough to understand, society screams at us to grind, to chase, to never stop, to sleep when we're dead. Our culture has built monuments to the struggle, glorifying burnout as a badge of honor and relentless ambition as the highest virtue. We are conditioned from a young age to believe that our intrinsic worth is directly proportional to the amount of effort we exert, and that peace is a rare and precious reward to be earned only after a long, arduous, and painful battle with life. We consume stories of success that are framed around sleepless nights, sacrificed relationships, and a constant gnawing ambition. We internalize this narrative so deeply that we come to believe that if we are not constantly pushing, striving, and struggling, we are fundamentally failing at the game of life. But what if this very belief, this cultural worship of the struggle, is the invisible architecture of the energetic prison that keeps you feeling trapped, exhausted, and unfulfilled? What if the profound calm you so desperately seek is not a prize waiting for you at the end of the race, but the very fuel you need to run it with a sense of grace, joy, and divine ease? You may be doing everything right according to the world's success manuals. You could be meditating every single morning, filling journals with your most heartfelt intentions, creating vision boards that sparkle with your dreams, visualizing your success, and working tirelessly day in and day out. Yet, despite all this effort, you might still carry the deep, sinking feeling that you are running on a spiritual treadmill, expending enormous amounts of energy, but ultimately going nowhere. You feel a sense of invisible resistance, an unseen force that seems to push back against you with a strength that perfectly matches your own. That resistance, that intangible yet very real barrier, is almost always your own attachment to the outcome. It is the subtle yet incredibly powerful energy of force that you are unknowingly projecting. It is the mental script playing on a relentless loop in your subconscious that insists, my success must happen in this specific way according to this rigid timeline, and it must look exactly like this picture I have meticulously painted in my head. This energy, at its core, is fear masquerading as ambition. It is the deep-seated fear that if you do not control every single variable, every person, every outcome, your world will inevitably and catastrophically fall apart. But it is precisely here, at the heart of this struggle, that the most sacred and beautiful paradox of existence unfolds. The very moment you consciously decide to surrender the script, the instant you release the self-imposed timeline and let go of the desperate, suffocating need to micromanage your destiny, the entire universe seems to breathe a collective sigh of relief right alongside you. In that release, everything begins to shift, subtly at first, and then with a momentum that can feel both startling and miraculous. It is as if you have spent your entire life swimming with all your might against a powerful, relentless current, only to discover that by simply turning around and surrendering to the water, you are suddenly and effortlessly carried forward with a breathtaking speed and grace you never thought possible. Opportunities that were completely hidden from your frantic, forward-facing gaze begin to emerge from your periphery, seeming to appear out of thin air. People who resonate with your true, authentic, and now relaxed frequency are drawn into your orbit as if guided by an unseen magnetic force, while those who are a match for your struggle begin to naturally drift away. Solutions to problems that once seemed like insurmountable mountains suddenly appear with a startling and simple clarity, not because you thought harder or struggled more, but because you finally created the sacred, quiet space within yourself for divine wisdom to be heard. You have not stopped trying, you have simply stopped resisting. You have finally, courageously stepped out of your own way and allowed the intelligent, loving river of life to carry you toward your destiny. In this sacred act, you have shifted from a state of forcing to a state of flowing. You have transformed from a lonely soldier battling against the world into a divine co-creator, a graceful dance partner with destiny, rather than a frustrated dictator trying to command the orchestra to play a song of your own composition. Pause for a moment and consider the profound, unspoken wisdom of the natural world, which is, without a doubt, our greatest spiritual teacher. A flowing river does not declare war on the rocks and boulders that lie in its path. It does not waste its energy trying to smash them into submission. Instead, it gracefully, powerfully, and relentlessly flows around them, always finding the path of least resistance, its sacred journey to the ocean uninterrupted, its inherent power undiminished. A tiny, humble seed buried in the dark earth does not struggle and strain to become a mighty tree. It simply surrenders to the innate, intelligent processes of growth, trusting the soil to hold it, the sun to warm it, and the rain to nourish it. It trusts that it contains within it the divine blueprint for its own becoming. The moon, in all its silent, luminous glory, does not panic as it wanes into darkness, nor does it desperately chase after the sun, fearing its own disappearance. It trusts its own divine cycle of darkness and light, knowing with an unshakable certainty that its fullness will always return in its own perfect timing. None of these magnificent forces of nature ever force. They never worry. They simply flow, they trust, they surrender, and they become. And yet, we humans, who are an intricate and inseparable part of this same grand, intelligent design, have been led to believe that our path must be one of constant force, control, and resistance. This is the energy of surrender that is being called for within you now, not a surrender born of passivity or defeat, but an active, conscious, and powerful trust. It is the state of being fully alive, fully present, and fully engaged in the unfolding of your journey, but without the desperate, painful clinging to a single, specific outcome. It is a profound shift from a state of anxious doing to a state of peaceful, powerful being. Take a look around and you will see that most people are waiting to live. They have placed their joy on hold, their peace in a state of indefinite layaway as they wait for the perfect job to materialize, for the right partner to arrive, for a clear and unmistakable sign from the heavens. They are perpetually waiting for all the disparate pieces of the puzzle of their lives to perfectly and magically align before they will finally grant themselves the simple, sacred permission to take a full, deep, life-affirming breath. But your soul, your eternal essence, was never designed to be paused. Your life is not a dress rehearsal for some future, grander performance. It is the performance itself, and it is happening right now in this sacred, precious, and utterly fleeting moment. The more you try to wrestle and contort this present moment into a shape that it is not yet ready to become, the more intense the resistance you will inevitably feel. The more anxious you become in your striving, the more you inadvertently push the very things you desire, love, peace, and clarity further and further away from you. Why does this happen? It is because the universe is a magnificent and impartial mirror. It does not respond to your words or your demands. It responds to and reflects your inner energetic state. When you carry the dominant vibration of desperation, when you move through the world with an energy that constantly screams, "Something is missing from me," life will dutifully and accurately reflect more experiences of lack and missing back to you. It will mirror your core belief that you are incomplete, providing you with endless evidence to support that painful illusion. Letting go, therefore, is the courageous and conscious choice to meet life exactly as it is in this moment, not as your ego demands it to be. It is a fundamental and profound shift in your perception of reality. You stop measuring your self-worth by the speed at which your external desires manifest. You cease treating the vast, mysterious unknown as a terrifying enemy to be conquered, and instead begin to see it as a sacred, fertile space of infinite, untapped possibility. You start to truly learn how to be here, in the now, even when being here feels uncertain, uncomfortable, or incomplete. And in that sacred space of pure, unadulterated presence, something truly miraculous begins to happen. You start to notice the breathtaking, intricate beauty in the small, everyday moments that you used to completely overlook in your frantic race toward a future destination. You begin to hear the quiet, gentle whispers of your own powerful intuition again, now that the deafening, chaotic roar of your anxious, controlling mind has finally been allowed to subside. In this powerful shift, you transition from a frequency of chasing to a frequency of receiving. Understand, this is not magic in the fantastical sense, it is the spiritual science of alignment. It is the natural, inevitable consequence of you finally, lovingly, letting go of the steering wheel and trusting that the divine intelligence of life itself knows the way, even when you cannot see the road ahead. The raw truth is that the act of forcing, in any aspect of your life, always, without a single exception, originates from a place of deep-seated fear, not from a place of authentic faith. It is the primal fear that if you cease your constant pushing, everything will grind to a halt and you will be left with nothing. It is the terrified inner child's belief that if you do not meticulously control every outcome, you will inevitably lose everything you hold dear. It is the foundational fear that if you allow yourself to fall, to surrender, the universe will not be there to catch you, that you will be abandoned to the void. But life is not a cold, indifferent, or mechanical machine that simply responds to your forceful commands. It is a living, breathing, profoundly intelligent consciousness that acts as a perfect mirror for your own energy. When you consciously and deliberately release the need, when you can look up to the heavens and genuinely say to the cosmos, I no longer need to hold this so tightly anymore, I release it, I trust, that is the moment life begins to breathe in perfect harmony with you. The right people, the ones who are meant for your journey, will feel this palpable shift in your frequency. The right opportunities, the ones that are truly in alignment with your soul's purpose, will sense your newfound openness and begin to gravitate towards you. Even your physical body will respond, releasing years of stored tension. Your very energy will have the power to change the atmosphere of a room before you even utter a single word. People are incredibly intuitive. They can feel, on a subconscious level, when you are trying to extract something from them or from the situations around you. They can sense the clinging, needy, chasing energy. They know instinctively when your sense of peace is conditional, when you are not truly okay unless something external changes, and changes fast. But the very moment you no longer need it to happen, the instant you anchor yourself in the profound truth that you are already whole, you are already complete, you are already enough, right here in this present moment, you become irresistibly magnetic. You transform into the person who no longer seeks validation from the outside world because you have learned to validate yourself. You no longer need to dominate or control conversations because you have become deeply comfortable and powerful in the space of silence. You no longer feel the need to rush the results of your efforts because you have cultivated a deep and abiding trust in the divine timing of your own unique life. And this, paradoxically, is the exact moment when the world, in all its abundance, is drawn to you. It comes not because of a specific thing you said or did, but because you finally, completely, let go of needing anything from it at all. Letting go is not about forgetting your most cherished dreams, it is about remembering the powerful, whole, and divinely perfect being you were before you were taught the lie that you had to beg and bargain with the world for it to work out in your favor. The version of you that is perpetually chasing, constantly forcing, and always striving is exhausted for a very good reason. That version of you has never truly learned to trust the process of life. It has never allowed itself to truly rest in the present moment. It has never fully opened itself to truly receive. But the version of you that learns to let go, that is the version that finally finds its way into the effortless, graceful dance of cosmic alignment. And when this shift occurs, the strangest, most beautiful thing begins to happen. You don't fully realize how much accumulated tension you've been holding in the muscles of your shoulders and jaw until you finally stop. You don't grasp how shallow and constricted your breath has become until you finally allow yourself to take a deep, nourishing, belly-filling inhale and a slow, complete exhale. You don't comprehend how deafeningly loud and chaotic your anxious thoughts have been until you finally experience the sacred, expansive stillness of a truly quiet mind. The moment you consciously loosen your energetic grip, even for just a few seconds, a profound and healing silence descends upon your inner world. And it is within that sacred silence that you can begin to hear a quiet, loving whisper from the universe that was completely inaudible before. It is a soft, gentle, and reassuring reminder that says, "My dear one, you were never meant to force this journey. You were always meant to allow it." And in that state of pure, open allowance, everything in your life begins to recalibrate and realign. This transformation happens not because you finally cracked some secret code or figured out the ultimate life hack, but simply because you finally stopped standing in your own way. You stopped being the primary obstacle on your own path. The culture we are steeped in glorifies the relentless grind, but your soul, in its infinite wisdom, yearns for grace. Society teaches us to micromanage every detail, but your spirit craves the freedom of surrender. We are conditioned to fight against uncertainty as if it were a mortal enemy, but your true alignment, your deepest power, is found in learning to trust it, to dance with it, to see it as the fertile ground from which all new possibilities are born. This trust, this surrender, this profound and unshakable knowing that you are infinitely worthy without needing any constant external proof, this is the source of your true, unassailable power. So, right now, take a conscious breath with me. Not a shallow, anxious breath, but a real, deep one that fills your entire being. And as you exhale, let it all go. Release the struggle. Not because you are giving up on your dreams, but because you are finally giving into something far greater. You are giving in to trust. You are giving in to the divine flow. You are giving in to life's own magnificent, benevolent intelligence. Everything you have been so desperately running after, the peace, the clarity, the purpose, the love, the healing, it may just be quietly and patiently waiting for you to simply stop running, to finally turn around, and to meet your true, magnificent self, right here, in this powerful, perfect, and eternally present moment.